welcome, one and all, to the official book launch of how to develop the most effective and efficient system of payment of grants in South Africa by Temba Gola, proudly presented to you by Multi-Marketing Publishing. I am your host, Naushad Khan. Before I go any further, I'd like to thank each and every single one of you for watching this video. I encourage all of you to smash the like button on this video and subscribe to Multi-Marketing if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications so you'll be the first to know when another one of our videos comes on air again, because guys, trust me on this one, we got a lot of great, awesome content coming your way on this channel. So just hit that big red subscribe button if you haven't already and get yourself notified. Now today is a very historic day in the history of Multi-Marketing Publishing, because today we are publishing our first ever thesis-turned-book here at Multi-Marketing Publishing. And not just any thesis-turned-book. This thesis right here, how to develop the most effective and efficient system of payment of grants in South Africa, has single-handedly earned the author of this book, Temba Gola, a PhD in social sciences from Atlantic International University. And I hope that this book right here will set the trend, because as you can see, it's not just a thesis, it's not just a document anymore. It is a full-length feature book. And that's what I want to really speak about before we bring the author out here. Is there are a lot of students probably watching this video right now in many different tertiary institutions around the country, whether that be a university, varsity, college, technicon, whatever it may be. And I hope there are a lot of lecturers, professors, teachers even, in all of these tertiary institutions watching this video right now. Because a lot of students spend a lot of time and effort in putting together and researching their papers. And for it to only be, presented and defended in front of a jury of jurists only once and then put on the shelf is a travesty and a crime, in my opinion. So let's make it be known that there are more theses that can be published, because publishing in South Africa is a reality, and Temba Gola and his book right here is proof to that. So I hope that we see more students and more professors getting more theses out there into the world, because these books right here are the ones that are packed with the most knowledge and the most information, valuable information. And as we all know, knowledge is power and readers are leaders. So let's get more of these out there. But enough about us and multi-marketing and theses. I think it's time we bring out the man of the hour, the author himself. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the author of this thesis-turned-book, How to Develop the Most Effective and Efficient System of Payment of Grants in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome onto stage with me, Mr. Temba Gola. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. You?
Great.
Okay.
I'm fine. The viewers.
Okay. Hi, viewers, and welcome to the launch of my first ever book that I produced. I would like to express my gratitude and thank all the viewers who will take their own time watching this video. I also would like to thank for those people that contributed for me to produce this book. I have a lot of people that supported me, but the first one, let's thank the Almighty to make this thing possible, to guide me through up to today. And again, let me thank my family for supporting me with all their sacrifices to make this day possible. And again, I would like also to express my gratitude to the following people that assisted me. The first one is Professor Mabenge, who assisted me, guided me, mentored me throughout the writing of the thesis. The other one, unfortunately, Professor Fene, who I've just heard that she passed on this past week. May her soul rest in peace. The last person that I would like to express my gratitude is Dr. Odaya, my psychiatric doctor, who actually encouraged me to press on and write this thesis. And yeah, today I'm quite excited.
I'm glad you are. So before we go any further, Mr. Gola, I'd like to present you with the first ever brand spanking new copy of your thesis-turned-book, How to Develop the Most Effective and Efficient System of Payments and Grants in South Africa. Here you go, sir. This is your moment. You've earned it. And I hope you enjoy the journey of distributing this and marketing this book, because like I was saying, this book has valuable information and a lot of people should be reading this book, because this man right here spent a lot of time and effort and research and on-field experience in putting this book together and this thesis together. So guys, when we do hit distribution, bookstore distribution later this year, it'll be across the country. So guys, wherever you are across the country and even in parts of Namibia, you can get your hands on this book right here. It is packed with tons of valuable knowledge and information. So I think before we go, any further, I'd like to have a seat. Have a seat with me right here. I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about what is this book about, and more importantly, who is the author. So let's start at the very beginning. Introduce yourself. Who is Temba Gola?
All right, thanks, Naushad. Temba Gola is the eldest daughter of Ellen Gola and Sipho Gola. We come from Mandela Bay municipality. This is where I was born and bred. Unfortunately, my dad passed on in 1976. Then we were raised by the single parent ever since then. My mother was a domestic worker who had to take care of 4 boys. We were 4 boys who were brought by this domestic worker. Unfortunately, in 1992, she also passed on. I was then forced to be a breadwinner of the other 3 brothers, which I had to take care of. Then I raised those brothers in Kwazakele, in Port Elizabeth, as a township boy, having to take that responsibility. I got married the very same year when my mother passed on, 1992, to Nonsekele Gloria Gola. From there, my first job was a security officer. I started as a security officer in 1986. It was based on that background that 1991 I decided to further my studies. It seems as if it's a joke, because during the course of the day I would wear the security uniform. In the evening I had to change the uniform to go and attend evening classes. Then I graduated with National Diploma in Public Administration. The following year I enrolled for National Higher Diploma in Public Management. I was still in security by then. It was only after 10 years that I got promoted. Then I proceeded. I was working at Livingston Hospital, which was a local hospital in Port Elizabeth. I was then promoted to work in provisioning, which is supply chain department in Livingston. Subsequent to that, strangely enough, after 10 years locked in one post, after studying so long, then I was then promoted in September to go to work in Bish as an admin officer. Before the end of that year, then I got promoted as a senior admin officer. You can then see within 6 months I got promoted 3 times. Then it was then I decided to also to further my studies. I went to Nelson Mandela University. I enrolled with my master's degree there, which I have completed in 2000. 2000, then I got promoted as skills development facilitator in the Western Cape Department of Health. That's where I worked only for a year. Within a year, I came back. I started to work in justice back in Port Elizabeth. Then that's where my career shaped. Then that's where my life changed for better. I worked at the Department of Justice for about 12 years. And I think it was based on that I was all along in my career life, I wanted to be an academic. And I then found myself having to take that risk to enroll. Unfortunately, I applied at the local university, which is Nelson Mandela. I could not get the supervisor to proceed with my PhD. It was only 3 years ago when I just started again applying to the same university. Then that's where I started writing my thesis as a proposal, which was a prerequisite to enroll for the PhD at Nelson Mandela Bay. I think based on that, then 2016 I started with SASSA as the grant admin manager for the Sarah Batman district office, and this is where I am.
So tell us more about this book, How to Develop the Most Effective and Efficient System of Payment and Grants in South Africa. What is this book about?
Thanks, Naushad. The book is based, as I said, emanated from the thesis. Out of the thesis, I had to select something which is close to my heart. In terms of my belief, I think it comes from my poor background, that I had an interest in terms of trying and fight poverty and unemployment. Then I chose this topic based on the experiences that we have in South Africa. This book comes and it covers the whole period where there has been a legal battle between SASSA and CPS that caused the whole country panic in terms of people being not certain if they will be getting their monies. You'll remember that the Concord had to intervene because the contract of this payment of social grant came to an end. There had then been battles in terms of extending the contract. Civil society challenged the extension of the contract. That has caused a lot of people panicking in South Africa. And for me, working in that environment, I also observed some of the challenges that the beneficiaries are actually experiencing in terms of accessing their grants. So this book is trying to examine the current challenges based from the time of CPS, that was 2017, up to currently, the challenges that we experience in terms of disbursing and payment of social grants by beneficiaries. So the book is covering that, is analyzing that process, is also covering the other aspect, the role of the private sector in the payment of social grants. Because, you know, strange enough that I had attempted to have an interview with one of these financial institutions. The director, they asked me, Mr. Gola, you know the best because you work with grants. And I said, but you guys are playing, financial institutions are playing a vital role in terms of ensuring the smooth payment of social grants. And this book will cover that aspect. What role are financial institutions playing in terms of ensuring that social grants is paid without any hassles? So this book will cover that. The book will also cover the recommendations that I tried to sort of sponsor in the book, because I have observed that we cannot have one single way of payment of method grants, because we've got people from rural communities, we've got people from townships, we've got people from urban areas, but all these people are beneficiaries of social grants. So there should be a way of trying and close the gap to ensure that no one is struggling to access the social grants.
Yes, that's the most important thing, is to ensure that everybody has access to social grants, which is one of their human rights. So you stated you originally wrote this as a thesis. Now, I want you to explain why and what inspired you to write a thesis on this particular subject.
Okay, as I'm saying, I had an opportunity to work with the communities because I manage social grants section in my district, which is Sarah Batman district. With the experiences that I have observed, I felt then that if I end up with a thesis, the thesis will be gathering dust in the shelves of the university without being implemented. The reason that I converted my thesis into the book, it is because I would want financial institutions to have access to this, the other government departments also to have access to this, so that at the end of the day, whatever problems and challenges that we had during the CPS contract should never happen in South Africa. so that we have a sustained way. If there has to be a transition in terms of payment or social grants, everyone will now have access to this book, because now it becomes a public domain.
And I like what you said, that if you had not published this book, it would just be collecting dust on the shelves of the university. And that's exactly what I stated right at the beginning, is that a lot of students put a lot of time and effort in writing their thesis only for it to be sitting on the shelves when it can actually be out there in the public domain. And like I stated, your book will actually be in bookstores later this year, so every single person can get their hands on a copy of this book. Now, you explained that you originally wrote this as a thesis and what inspired you. How long did it actually take you to complete this thesis? Because I know you spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, there's a lot of on-field experience that you had to gain, research. How long did it take you to complete this thesis?
All right. The thesis, as I said, I started about 3 years ago when I applied to Nelson Mandela University, because they requested a thesis proposal for me to be admitted. But somehow there has been a delay in terms of finalization of the actual final thesis, because the university had to approve that. So it was 3 years ago when I started writing the thesis as the proposal with this topic. And it was only based last year. I took advantage of COVID. Lockdown, when everyone has been frustrated sitting at home, then I came across the university, which is the Atlantic International University, which I have applied to do my PhD. After being admitted there, their request was that I also have to present the thesis to them. Then I went back to the thesis, which I started about 3 years ago. This is only when I have finalized the thesis last year and defended and presented the thesis to the council at the Atlantic International University, which was approved last year.
So once you completed your thesis, what really made you decide to turn it into a full-length feature book? Because like I mentioned, you know, a lot of students, they just leave their thesis at the university. They don't really go out and have it getting published. But I like that you took the initiative to actually get it published. So what led to your decision of saying, okay, I want to take this thesis and I want to have it published as a full-length feature book?
All right, I felt the environment and the timing is perfect. You know, COVID has a lot of victims in terms of creating unemployment, increasing poverty. And that means then there were a lot of people that have been turned, who were employed, that were then turned into SASSA beneficiaries. Remember, right now we have 350 SRG grants which are covered. And those people, they will follow the same payment method. The COVID has created that situation that encouraged me to come up with this book, so that we can come up with some best mechanism to ensure that there's a smooth payment of social grants. Because it becomes clear, if you remember, there is a call of basic income grant. And if we are not creating a conducive environment for the payment of social grant, we'll have some very same problems that we had before if we are not smoothing the ground to ensure that even if we're talking about basic income grant and the current payment of social grants, we create an environment where there is a smooth payment. That it was based on that I became encouraged to write the book, which I have sponsored in the book. Those are different payment mechanisms in the book.
Okay, so once you decided, okay, I want to publish this book, when and how did you find out about multi-marketing publishing, and how has your experience been with us thus far?
All right, well, after the thesis has been approved by the university, they then gave me a go-ahead to publish the thesis. Then I just decided, let me convert the thesis into a book. Obviously, I had to shop around, and I went to internet. Then I came across the other service providers, which we could not agree in terms. Multi-marketing publishing then became a convenient environment for me to be able to achieve my goal. And it was based on that we then started this marriage, which we started early this year, where we have been cooperating with them. I was quite comfortable in terms of the conditions. I was quite comfortable in terms of marketing my book. I was quite comfortable in terms of giving the exposure. Remember, I'm the first author. I've never been an author before, so this is my first experience. So I'm going to gain a lot as a result, and I've said, and I've made that commitment that in my next project, I will still use a multi-market publishing to proceed with my next project.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you're a first-time author, and we in multi-marketing, we work with any kind of author, whether you're first time, second time, third time, 100 times. We don't mind. We love working with each and every single author, and I'm proud to say that this is the first thesis-turned-book being published by Multi-Marketing Publishing. So, I just expanding on your point is that you contacted me, I'd say, in the beginning of January this year, and it only took us, I think, a month to really complete this whole project, from the editing stage right through to getting this book printed and published, including the banner, including setting up a book launch. So it's really a proud moment to say that Multi-Marketing Publishing would like to thank you, Temba Gola, for coming to us, because you have made publishing this book such a breeze, because you were one of the authors that were easy to work with. We've worked with a lot of authors who have been very easy to work with, and you are one of those authors who have made it an absolute breeze.
Thank you.
So now I just want to know, who is your book aimed at, and who should be reading your book?
All right, if you look at the content of the book, poverty is cutting across. Either you are affected directly or indirectly. Now, in terms of my belief is that poverty alleviation, remember social grants are a constitutional mandate of SASSA, and all the citizens in South Africa have a constitutional right to access social grants. So it might affect or aim at the normal citizens who will know, because in the book, it also outlines the requirements how to access the social grants. So the normal members of the public can access the book, so that they can begin to know what are the steps that are taken and what are the requirements. That's the first thing. The second issue is affecting the other government institution, which is including my own employer, which we are looking at the current situation, as I said, how to improve the payments of social grants in future. We're talking about technology advancement, where we need to take advantage of that against the cash payment, which is actually done right now, which is a security risk to some of the cash pay points. I'm then saying we need to come up with some mechanism of ensuring that we minimize the risk of exposing the beneficiaries and the officials, because when they handle the cash, it becomes a huge risk. But if we come up with some other mechanism in terms of using the technology of dispensing the payment of social grants, it can minimize all of the social challenges that we have, including securities that we have. The other issue, the book is also open even to the corporate. I would like to challenge financial institutions, because somehow there's an issue of public-private partnership, because government cannot work alone. We do need a partnership if we would want to have a situation where we have good governance and the best payment method, even with other projects. I would like to extend an invitation to private sector to become part of the government project, because at the end of the day, that partnership can be able to reach. In any case, we target the very same constituencies. My beneficiaries from SASSA are the clients of the bank, you see? And even the private sector, they employ the very same communities. Somehow there has to be a way of investing in the communities which the companies are employing. So the book is actually spreading the variety of the targets in terms of attending and attracting the attention of those stakeholders in terms of accessing the book.
Okay, so I think you've explained who should read your book and why. But what do you personally hope to have people achieve from reading this book?
All right, the first thing, I think there are a few things that would want people to pick up at the book when they read the book. The first issue, that the poverty, it is a reality, especially when it comes to the issue of COVID-19. As I said, rate of unemployment in South Africa, in fact globally, has increased. The last time I've checked in South Africa, it increased with 4%. Then that means then that there are more people who are depending on social grants. Those are the people that will be able to know which route to take in the book. The other issue is that, as I said, the role of integrated approach. We need not to plan in silos. Integrated approach in terms of trying to fight poverty. You see, poverty is a pandemic which is actually compromising the dignity of the citizens. In terms of the constitution, we all also have to have the same access to the services. Somehow, but poverty is creating a gap between the rich and the poor. And this is why I'm saying, by the intervention of provision of social grants, we should be able to close that gap between the rich and the poor. And this book is able to articulate that environment and create an environment where people are able to improve their lives through accessing of social grants.
Okay, so what does the future hold for Temba Gola? What do you want to achieve going forward?
There are a few things that I would want to do. The first thing, I would want to leave a legacy. Tomorrow I might not be there, but I would like to leave a legacy, not the issue in terms of economic legacy, but I would like to leave a legacy where we revisit the issue of Ubuntu, the issue of ensuring that we treat the other people as we would want to be treated. That's another issue. The other issue is that I would want to make a mark. If I should be able to influence those that are in authority to be able to revisit and think differently and out of the box in terms of how we do things to improve the service delivery, I'll be happiest person. But moreover about, I will be the happiest person to see the smile of the poor person who is able to access social grants. Because there are people who are not certain where is their next meal will be coming from. And by introducing this book, we should be able to sort of bring hope and the light to those people. So this book will be able to also ensure that everyone has the understanding in terms of how to access those social grants.
So what advice do you have for other aspiring authors out there who want to get published? Because like I stated at the beginning, there's a lot of students out there who have written a thesis and it hasn't been published. So what advice would you have for them and other authors out there that want to get their hard work published just as you have with your book?
I think that the first advice is very simple, to say that procrastination is a thief of time. The more you procrastinate your endeavors, your plans, the more time goes on. You know, one thing that COVID taught me, that there is no guarantee for tomorrow. Whatever that you have today that can improve the lives of other people, do it right away. That's the first thing that I would want to say to the other people. Then the other issue that I would want to say to the aspiring authors, your background does not determine your future. Whatever background that you have, you might have heard what I've said. What was my background? I was a security officer, but that background never stood in my way in terms of what I want to achieve. If you have a dream, like what Martin Luther had said, if you have a dream, that dream will come true. But you can never achieve any destination if you don't have a dream on how to reach that particular destination.
Yes, it's like I always say, and it's my motto in life, believe and achieve. As long as you can have your mind arrive at your destination before you do, you can achieve it. So to other authors out there who are watching this right now, you've heard what Mr. Temba Gola has said. Do not procrastinate. You have a dream, go out there and achieve it, and you could one day have your book being published just like this, a full-length feature book. Doesn't matter if it's a thesis, if it's a non-fiction, if it's a fiction book, if it's a self-help book, whatever it is, you can have your book being published and distributed to bookstores around the country. So before we go any further, I'd like to give Mr. Gola the floor right now to speak about his book in his own words. Whatever it is you want to say right now, this is your time to say it.
Thank you, Naushad. To me, viewers, what becomes crucial, one, is that poverty should not determine who you are, but your dreams should be able to aspire you what you want to achieve. The book is about nothing else to improve the lives of the people. Madiba used to say, let's make better lives for all. And that has been my belief, that at the end of the day, the book would want to open the doors for the communities to be able to access the social grants. As I said, that the book is aiming to analyze the current challenges that we have in our system, but those current challenges that we have in our system, they need integrated approach in order for us to come up with best mechanism. And nothing, if we work together, nothing is impossible because we join hands. And that's what the book wants to achieve, so that at the end of the day, when we have joined hands, we're able to achieve at the end of the day. By the end of the day, the impact of COVID might be here for the next 3 years. And for that reason, people will still poverty will still be there, unemployment will still be there. But this book brings that hope to those that are voiceless, for those that are unable to influence those that are in authority of power. But by this book, this is my challenge to those that are in power, that let's think out of the books and explore the other mechanism in terms of ensuring that we use the advantage of the technology in terms of improving the payment method that we have. Lastly, as I said, I would like to challenge the financial institutions to come and join hands. Here's a project that the government is providing, but at the end of the day, the government cannot achieve. Part of my book, I'm also articulating the role of the merchants. Merchants, I'm referring to the supermarkets that are there, that are within the community. They can also play a role in terms of dispensing the social grants, because this is where the communities go and buy their food. Rural areas, townships, we don't need to go to town and spend money for bus fare and all that. But if these stakeholders, financial institutions, where they cannot, communities cannot access the services, I'm trying to pose a challenge to the financial institutions to reach out to the communities, to go and render that particular service. Take advantage of that. Be part of the value chain in terms of the payment of social grants. The owners of the merchants, supermarkets, come into the team, come and join the team, because at the end of the day, these are the people, these are your customers. If we are able to play a role in terms of those aunties, those grannies, those sick people are able to get their monies at their doorstep, let's do that.
Okay, so I believe you've prepared something for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now Mr. Temba Gola is going to read a passage for us from his book. And I think this passage that he's picked out is really going to give you guys an idea of what this book really is about. So like I said, when we hit bookstore distribution later this year, you guys should go on over, pick up a copy of this book, and if you want to know what this book's about, he's going to read a passage for us right now.
Thank you. This is the first chapter of my book, which is historically. It's written by me, and I'm the first person to read it. Yes. The time is ripe for re-examination of social policies and its role in the development process. Past development paradigm and related social policy approaches have proved to be limited, effective in addressing the mass poverty and promoting welfare in society. If the payment of social grant is not managed in a proper and effective manner, it might cause political and socio-economic instability, or it might lead to unnecessary legal battles between beneficiaries, civil society, the state, because of the constitutional entitlement of the qualifying or potential beneficiaries of social grants. This chapter will cover the following topics: introduction, background, legislative framework, significance of the case study, research problem, research questions, research aim, objective, and objective of the study, hypothesis of the research, delimitation of the study, theoretical and conceptual framework, improve rights and legislation and increase provisioning of services, methodology, rationale, population and sampling, research tool, and data analysis. That's what the book will cover. The first aim of the study is to outline the strategy and the plan by South African Social Security Agent, which is SASSA, to CPS, which is the company that provided the services then, and as mandated by the Constitution in terms of the order which was issued by Concord on the 17th of March 2017. The second aim is to present the Concord strategy and the plan to set up a corporate bank and account and direct transfers to the beneficiaries in commercial banks accounts, and to create biometric identification system and successful implementation of deduction in terms of social assistance regulation, which is 26A. The study will also cover the implementation of the court order by SASSA in the Eastern region, which is Eastern Cape. In order to address a long-term issues, poverty and social deprivation in South Africa, it is increasingly recognized that more comprehensive, holistic, and cross-sector livelihood analysis is more appropriate. The goal of social policy, having broadened to include poverty alleviation, social protection, social inclusion, and promotion of human rights. In implementing this goal required not only a strong state, but also action of the civil society, private sector, and international development institutions.
Wow, so guys, that should really give you guys an idea of what this book is about, how to develop the most effective and efficient system of payment of grants in South Africa. You now know who Temba Gola is. He's spent a lot of years working within the government system. He is a well-learned individual, a person who has earned a PhD in social sciences from Atlantic International University for this very thesis right here. And now it's into a full-length feature book. And like I said, it will be available for distribution later this year. It will be in any one of your local bookstores near you. You can go ahead, grab a copy of this book. And yeah, I'd like to thank Temba Gola for coming on here today and launching your book and getting people to understand not only who you are, but what this book is about. And that yes, publishing is a reality in South Africa, and that publishing your thesis that you spent a lot of time and effort and on-field expertise as you have and research and putting it together, getting it published, it is a reality. So before we close this thing up, Mr. Gola, do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to speak to the viewers out there?
Yes, maybe just few words. The first one is that poverty knows no race, poverty knows no age, but we cannot sit down and fold our arms. There should be something that we should be doing in terms of ensuring that we fight against poverty. As I said, poverty is a pandemic which we can only achieve or defeat when we work together. That's the first thing. The other issue is that we need to have goals that we need to achieve as human beings, as individuals. And unless we have those goals, we are unable to lock ourselves into our past. We can't change our past, but at least we can determine our destination. And the last thing, I would like to thank really from deep down my heart the people who supported me throughout in my journey, starting with my family, friends, and academics who were visible when I was busy writing my thesis and ultimately the book. Those people who contributed, as I said, Professor Mabenge, the late Professor Mfene, and my doctor, Dr. Odaya, and my family who have been there. There were a lot of sacrifices. The festive season last year, I never spent it like any other person. I had to finalize my project, and because of that, let me take this opportunity to publicly express my gratitude to my family, which is including my wife, for the sacrifices they've made for me to finalize the project. Thanks a lot. And lastly, thanks a lot to my publishers to make this thing possible. I never aspired to be an author, but because of you, it became possible for me to achieve my objective. The sky is the limit. Thank you.
Indeed, the sky is the limit. So Mr. Gola, thank you for publishing with us at Multi Marketing. this is your official book launch, and I wish you the very best going forward
All right.
in marketing this book and getting it out there in the bookstores. And of course, multi-marketing publishing will guide you the entire way. So that's what multi-marketing publishing does, guys. We assist authors from start to finish. We started editing this book, and we're going to continue. We're going to guide him into getting this book right here, How to Develop the Most Effective and Efficient System of Payment of Grants in South Africa, out into each and every single major bookstore out in this country. And we're going to also help him market this book, and hopefully some of you guys out there are going to be able to pick up this book, read it, and gain the valuable knowledge that is, you know, in this book, because he spent a lot of time, effort, research, and on-field experience in getting this book out there. So guys, go ahead, grab a copy of this book when it's out in bookstores. It should be out very, very soon. And if you're watching this video a bit later on in the year, it's probably already out in bookstores. So as soon as this video is over, switch off your phone, get on out the house, go to your nearest bookstore, and pick up a copy of this book. So in closing, guys, I'd like to thank again each and every single one of you for watching this video. If you made it to right to the end, you might as well go ahead and smash the like button on this video. And if you haven't already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe to Multi-Marketing if you haven't already, and turn on those bell notifications so you'll be the first to know when another one of our videos hits the airwaves again. Until next time, guys, for Temba Gola, I am Naushad Khan. This has been the official book launch for How to Develop the Most Effective and Efficient System of Payment Grants in South Africa by Temba Gola for Multi-Marketing Publishing. We thank you all. Peace, guys.